Kevin Faulk and James White. Both great players, both great big-time players. Third down back is critical in the Patriots offense. So which guy goes first? One of the main reasons I wanted to put this debate out there, Phil Perry and I fight about it all the time. He loves Kevin Faulk. Everybody says that. But he thinks he's a little overrated. I think that's heresy. I think that James White is an excellent player, and God bless him. But I've also seen Shane Vereen do virtually the same thing James White did in playoff games, i.e. Super Bowl 49. Check out Shane Vereen's numbers in that game. So, James White, Kevin Faulk, two great third down backs. Who goes first? We got a bunch of input on it. First, Deion Branch. How do I make a determination between James White and Kevin Faulk?
Man. That's a tough one because you know what it always still boils back to me is this right here. Kevin Faulk was like the dark horse within our group back in those days. He was the unsung guy, the guy who was probably the one who's going to get forgotten about. But we didn't. We knew how valuable Kevin was. But I think overall the Patriot fans knows how valuable Kevin was. But in the game, it was almost like, okay, we got to stop this guy, that guy. Nobody was really thinking about, we got to figure out what we're going to do with Kevin. But he always kept coaches and defense coordinators on edge. Even nowadays when I speak to a couple guys that we, ops and everything that we played against, and they talk about Kevin, the respect and love that he was getting that we probably just didn't see to the core, throughout the game. But as far as how you break those two individuals down, oh no, that's a tough one. I mean, because both of those guys made key plays throughout the entire season, also in the postseason. That's a tough one, T.
It is. They're both
stuck.
And they're both like those, emblematic, standard bearers of what the Patriots are all about. And that's why both of them are high character guys. They both do their jobs in terms of blitz pickup, being a good shit, doing all the things that you're supposed to do. Yes, and then take over a game. They both had the capability to take over a game if the defense was saying, all right, let's see what you can do. And they both, whether it was Super Bowls or, there were times when you guys were taking on water offensively.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody was stopped, and you could just see Josh or Charlie Weiss or whoever just say, just go to Kevin. And then Kevin would just start making play after play, catch after run, moving the chains, and just at least stop the bleeding in some way. So Ted Johnson was drafted in the second round by Bill Parcells back in 1995. Kevin Faulk, he was drafted in 99 by Pete Carroll and Bobby Greer. Those two guys played together for a good stretch. What's Ted Johnson have to say about Kevin Faulk? James White versus Kevin Faulk. Shoot me straight. Who's got to be higher?
I think Kevin Faulk. I'm a huge James White fan. And clearly, when you think of James White, you think of what game? You think 28-3.
2016 Super Bowl. Atlanta.
Yeah. And so, Kevin, I think was Kevin a Patriot for 13 years?
Kevin was 99 under Pete until 2012.
Yeah.
I can look it. It's right here.
13 years. That's 13 years.
13 years. 3 Super Bowl wins, 5 Super Bowl appearances. I always called him Tom's best friend that nobody really knew about. Yeah. But he would take over games, and his competitive nature, I think, just quiet, vicious competitor.
So I have a handful of guys that I think you maybe ranked too low on this list originally, and Kevin Faulk is number 4 on my list. I think he should be higher. I think what you just spat out, 13 years, 5 Super Bowl appearances. So there's 2 players when I think of, at least on the offense, when I think of guys that we would just say they just made plays. I remember when I was playing with Chris Slade, and Chris Slade and I would be watching a game. There was a game in the Meadowlands against the Giants in '96, the last game of the season, and we beat them by coming back. We were down 17-zip or 19-zip at halftime, and they came back and won the game with like a few seconds left. And Troy Brown made this unbelievable 4th down catch. He reaches out, catches the ball that he had no business catching.
Lying on his back, I think.
He was on his back. And I look at Chris, and Chris looks at me and he goes, "He just makes plays." And I remember saying that about Kevin Faulk. He makes plays in critical situations to move the sticks, to help you win. And I put Kevin Faulk kind of in that Troy Brown category as a guy that just made plays and didn't get a lot of fanfare. And so to me, he needs to be higher on your list because Kevin Faulk is in that, to some degree, Troy Brown category as a guy. He just didn't say a whole lot, but he was always money in the bank. He always made the plays when he needed to. So Kevin Faulk, to me, should be higher than what he is, Tom.
Here's the thing, too. And I don't know how high I can go with him because of that overall around the league. You know, how good was the player recognized to be around the league?
Yep.
So that's something I have to weigh in.
That factor in, though, when you're considering just the best Patriots. I mean,
but I think that has to be my first thing is how good was the player? How talented? You're right. I mean, it doesn't matter what they think of him in Indianapolis.
Yep.
But
I get your point.
I mentioned James White.
James White, clearly not only top 50. I mean, he's maybe top 40, top 30, maybe.
Oh yeah, no, I almost have him as top 20 because of big game performances. I mean, okay. I have him wherever Faulk is. I got to have him almost right next to him, I think.
Okay. Remember, I value longevity, and Kevin's played a lot longer than James.
You're right, and that's why I'll probably have Kevin ahead of him.
Okay.
Christian Fauria also played alongside Kevin Faulk, and you know from his time in the media here how much time he spent observing James White. So who better to go to than the great 4EA? Do I put James White ahead of Kevin Faulk?
No way. Kevin Faulk may be the best athlete I've ever seen. I mean, I know this isn't a baseball, basketball thing, but as far as the best athlete I've ever seen, like Kevin is that guy. Can do anything. Baseball, basketball, football. I mean, you want to knock him down for 4th and 2 against Indy? Go ahead. I mean, that's fine. I mean, otherwise he is like such a just perfect football player.
His strength too was immensely underrated. I mean, he's 5'8", 207, 208, right? And his ability to blitz pickup against on-rushing line.
We would have these sub packages, and that we'd go in there, and it was usually like a passing down, and we ran a lot out of a sub packages. But when I went in, it was called half. It was like 2 different sub packages, and sub was like a passing situation. Half was more of a hybrid, but primarily running. With that personnel grouping. But you would give the defense the assumption or the idea that, you're going to pass, but whatever, the numbers were the numbers. But we would run power out of that all the time. And strong runner. And, I would say the whole third down back, people may give that to J.R. Redmond just because of the catches that he had in that first Super Bowl. But that was he's the creator. He's the creator of that. He's the seed.
Scott Zolak was here when Kevin Faulk was drafted, and as the voice of the Patriots on 98.5 alongside Bob Sosi, and also a midday talk show host. He's got plenty of James White experience too. Check out Zoe on this debate.
I think Kevin Faulk is, and this is no offense to James, I think Kevin is one of the best third down backs I've ever seen.
I agree.
So the ability to run the screen. There was a time when he fumbled against the Packers. I'm sure you'll remember the game. It was a home game in front of the Patriots bench. Let the ball sit on the ground. And Bill chewed his ass out. From that point on, he was a different player. His attention to detail, as far as when I say scan, it's understanding what the quarterback's call is, dictating the mic, hearing what the center's saying. We're going to tag it this way. We're going to go rip. We're going to go Liz. We're going to slide. We're going to Louis, Roger. Talking over your football head now, not yours, but for the listeners to this.
That's left and right.
Yeah.
Louis left. Roger's right.
Roger, Louis, left, right. Rip, Liz. Yeah, same rocket science. Michael Bishop, we had to put an L on one shoe and R on the other. That's what Charlie Weiss did one day.
No, he didn't.
I think he did, yeah. Yeah, I think Charlie did that once.
Not funny, Charlie.
It's not funny, but back
a little funny.
Kevin is your ultimate true Patriot, all-purpose Patriot. It's Kevin Faulk. It's Julian Edelman's in that class.
Yep.
And I know Julian would love to be in the massive Randy Moss wide receiver, impactful type class. But Julian's your quintessential. These are your quintessential red jacket Patriot Hall of Famer type guys.
I agree.
That impacted the franchise, that knew how to run the locker room, that knew how to compete well, how to practice well, how to work out well, and how to make other young kids want to do what they did. And I think that's why James is in a certain class that he's in now.
Yeah, I think James White could well be a Patriots Hall of Famer. And I really look at Kevin Faulk as more deserving. And I have this argument with Phil Perry all the time. He just thinks Kevin Faulk's a little overrated. And I don't fault him for that because it was kind of it's an acquired taste. You got to watch it. You got to, and James is excellent, but James is a plug and play in the system guy. Shane Vereen did it. Danny Woodhead would have done it. Danny's more like Kevin Faulk than James White.
Yeah, Danny was more like Kevin Faulk, you're right, than he was James White.
Devin McCourty, who along with James White is one of the great leaders of this edition of the Patriots. Here's what he had to say on the debate. James White and Kevin Faulk. I'm a big Faulk guy. Just because of the period of time. He started with Pete Carroll. He went all the way through the rebuild. He was that close to getting cut, I swear to God, in 2000. Couldn't hold the ball. And he remade his game to the point where he was a professional culture leader for this team. He was a prickly little guy when he started. He was no fun to talk to. And it's so I have high reverence for him. And then you have James White, who's nothing but one of the most solid citizens you'll ever meet, shows up huge in every big game, does everything he's asked to, has overachieved. Who goes first?
Yeah. And it's hard because I think their impact to the team they were on is very similar. You know, like, how can you rank one above? Like they were both very needed. Like, I know, like you just said, how Kev, like when I got here, I remember doing an interview when someone asked me a question in my second year. I was struggling, and Feezy's locker was next to me. I was like, "Did you just ask him that? You don't ask him a question like that." And I remember sitting there like, man, because I didn't know what to say. I was young, but he had that type of leadership about him that he was never scared to be outspoken and do the right thing. So it's hard. Like I only got 2 seasons with Kev, and 1 season he tore his ACL. So I just saw his leadership impact. You know, I just know about, you know, obviously his other impacts to the team, but I think it's hard because, like, when you do rank one above the other, I don't know, it's hard because their impact is so similar. I
mean, James dominated. He scored 20 points in a Super Bowl. Yeah. It's just including.
And then Kev played 14 years.
Yeah. And so, all right, that's my problem, not yours. What a great debate. I know which way I'm leaning, and it's kind of stat-based. But you're going to have to wait until the list comes out, which we will be unveiling next week. We got 2 more days of great debates to unleash on you, and this is going to be a great one. It's the 2000s versus the 2010s. How do these two sides regard each other? You know who you're going to love on this? Devin McCourty. Check it out tomorrow.